I'm Mellissa Chartrand. I'm here with Mellissa Morris, a local artist. Melissa with two L's. I'm one L, here two L's.
Two L's, very important.
We are here in Barnstable Village at the Old Schoolhouse Studios.
Yes.
And so happy to be here in your studio.
Thank you.
So Melissa, I wanted to talk to you today. You were born and raised here on the Cape local. Your husband owns a local restaurant, The Little Sandwich Shop, a lovely sandwich place in Hyannis. You were even at the beaches this summer too, I think.
Yes.
One of the beaches and back again. I want to talk to you a little bit about your work and how it's evolved and where you're headed.
Yes. Well, it's a practice. It's a daily practice. And it's really important to include creativity in a daily practice to resolve and solve and think about yourself and your relationship with the world, your community, your space around you, and internally and externally. And I feel like through art I'm able to really see and observe my thoughts and my experience and growth and change. And
Tell me how that's evolved. I know that from your time first, and you spent a lot of time, it's a huge accomplishment to have your master's in fine art, and you did that while working, commuting, family, all the busyness. And tell me a little bit about that experience, and then now the training that you've had and the practice, where you're headed now.
Well, my master's degree I retrieved or obtained at the University of Massachusetts in Dartmouth. And it's a master's degree in fine arts painting and drawing. And that situation was a studio. I was provided with a studio and different classes that I took, but it really focused on having a studio, working in your studio, and almost like a scientist, sort of experimenting and exploring and researching. And that really stayed with me. Like even now, it's really an important part of my practice. I think that the master's degree really gave me a strong foundation in the practice and how I manipulate the materials and how I teach. But since then, I think the evolution of my work and myself has moved away from real strict policies in making art and how I perceive it and how I make it, where it's coming from. I no longer rely on sort of art history or what sort of Cape Cod is looking for or may be representing right now. I follow a path that's more centered and focused on being and observing and really being a witness to my practice, to how I paint and when I paint and why I paint. So.
It's just beautiful to me, the process and how you describe it. And your teaching, I know that you work with students and share these thoughts with them as well at the Riverview School, is that correct?
Yes,
and that mindset. And I know now that you have been practicing and training and certification for yoga.
Yes.
And you give the proper term for that, because I know that I just did not say that right at all.
No, yoga. Yoga is a really large term.
Yes.
It encompasses a lot of things. But it really has been the link that has really bridged my ideas on what's going on the inside, the sort of alchemist process of spiritual growth, and my intellect and my art, but the yoga, the philosophy, really just being mindful, just really being aware of your senses, you know, your sense of touch, your sense of eyesight, your sense of hearing. Even just being in this room with you right now, just the distance between us and even the camera lady, you know, just really being aware and open and kind and compassionate about how I live. And that's what really, that's the real heart of what I'm learning about in yoga, besides the postures and the flows and all of the really good, healthy things you can do for your body, what I'm bringing back to the studio, just that mindfulness and being aware.
And how are you looking forward to sharing that with the community?
I teach at Abundance of Peace on Route 6A in Barnstable, and starting February 18th, I'm going to be offering a manifesting creativity workshop that includes a yoga philosophy, using expressive materials and making art, a little bit of dance and movement and meditating, and sort of my first attempt at combining my worlds together, the art and the yoga. So,
and who would you recommend this class for?
I think that it's really open to everyone. Anyone who has really always thought that they were creative but could never put it to use. Anyone who is feeling like they're alone and want to connect with community and just bring themselves outside of their current situation and just really express themselves. So that population, it's pretty wide. Anybody
It is
can
pretty
do it.
wide, but I knew that, as you say, it's not someone that has to be afraid that they don't.
Right.
There's not a right. You're saying there's not a right or wrong way at all. So it's not as if someone says, "I really haven't done yoga. I'm not a good artist. I don't know," because everyone has that inner creativity.
Yeah, exactly. I think too, in our society, we're geared towards, if you're stressed, or if you feel uncreative, or if you're sad, or then take this workshop or class and this is going to be for you. Rather, I'm trying to approach it as I move forward and step into the world that I like to bring out art and yoga as medicine for the healthy, and to stay healthy, and to enrich the spirit, the soul, and
And it's a beautiful journey, and we talked about that. It's a journey. It's not a quick fix, and it's not, I'll take this class and that'll be fine. And it's that process, and it's going through, and what you're doing that's a part of that journey to take them, and what you've been traveling and continue to do so.
Exactly. It is a journey, and it's just a few steps in the path of the overall scheme of things. So
now, a couple of things for our viewers. If they're interested in this class, how can they get information? And also, part two is if they're interested in meeting you or coming to the studio, when and how can they do that?
For the workshop, they can go to abundanceofpeace.com, and that will give you the phone number and the registration information. So abundanceofpeace.com. Or if you'd like to just directly contact me, you can go to melissamorris.com, and Mellissa with 2 L's, melissamorris.com, and that has my phone number and email and everything. So
great, and they can contact you that way and talk to you and see. I love the studio and the feels. You can see some of the work behind us.
Yes,
and I'm sure it's been interesting for you seeing your work evolve and from years ago to present, how it's changed and where it's headed. We look forward to that very much.
Yeah, it's exciting. It is, because even though the work has evolved and changed, there's always been like this me, this really personal thing that's always been in it, that's grown with the work, so it's cool.
It's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit today,
thank you.
Mellissa. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
For Mellissa Morris, I'm Melissa Chartrand, wishing you an artful day.